Hi everyone, good morning. Today is 1st of March and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in the today's session, we are going to discuss entire analysis of Hindu and important articles from other sources which are relevant for our examination. That also we are going to see. First of all, let's take the overview of articles that we are going to cover in the today's newspaper. So in today's newspaper for mains examination, we are going to cover article this that is understanding world of informal waste workers. Should minimum support price be legalized? Can caste segregation in the prisons and obesity is a new health challenge? For prelims, gene therapy for hemophilia, Swayam plus platform and chromosome disorders which have been found in skeletal remains will be discussed. For the mapping, we are going to discuss Philippines. So let's get started with the articles. Also, along with these particular articles, we are going to take a quotation relevant for our essay as well as the answer writing paper. Also guys, on the basis of current affair on the basis of the current affair, we also take MCQ questions for the practice. These MCQ questions can be attempted on Telegram channel in the quiz format. So you can join our Telegram channel and this entire notes are also available on Telegram channel for download. So you please join our Telegram channel and download the notes from there. So let's get started. And first of all, let's take quotation for today. So today we are going to take quotation from Martin Luther King Jr., civil rights activist from US and one of a leader inspired by the Gandhian thought. He says, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." So often we don't take stands against wrong things that are happening in the society, against discrimination, against injustices, and that is the end of human existence, because humans are separated from the animals because they have a conscience, and this conscience always pushes them to do the right things, to take the correct stands. But when they stop doing it, that the human life ends. So you can use this particular idea in the context of GS paper number 4, ethics, integrity and aptitude. Now let's get started with the first article for today. So here we have this particular article from Hindu newspaper, understanding the world of informal waste pickers. Now this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2, social justice. Within the social justice, vulnerable section of society, and within vulnerable section of society, informal waste pickers, their welfare, fine, we are going to discuss here. Now let's get started with this particular article. So basically guys, what has happened recently, International Waste Picker Day was commemorated. So what happened? International Waste Picker Day was commemorated, was observed. On this International Waste Picker Day, plights of waste pickers, concerns of waste picker, they are discussed. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about waste pickers, uh, they contribute quite significantly in economy as well as society. Let's understand this particular dimension in step by step manner. First of all guys, we have some datas. According to Center for Science and Environment, informal waste economy employs 0.5 to 2% of urban population globally. This is not India, global. Fine, the report is given by Center for Science and Environment. So 0.5 to 2% of urban population, where they are employed? They are employed in the waste economy. Fine, they are doing the work such as the waste collectors, they are in the waste processing, they are in the recycling sector. Okay, they are in waste segregation. So waste economy employs 0.5 to 2% of people, means it is a very big aspect of economy. Now when we talk about India specific data, according to periodic labor force survey 2017-18, it is provided that there are 1.5 million waste pickers in India's urban workforce. 1.5 million, 15 lakh waste pickers are there in the urban workforce. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that today when we talk about India's waste sector, so 90% of India's waste, it is collected by the waste pickers which are working in informal sector, so there are the rag pickers, they do this particular thing. Electronic waste. electronic waste, which is a category of the waste. Okay, 90% of electronic waste is also collected by these informal workers. Often what happen, because they are the part of this informal sector, they don't have protective gears. And because they don't have protective gears, what happen, they get exposed to many harmful chemicals. Such as such as cadmium such as cadmium mercury radium, etc., that is often present in the e-waste. Often, guys, what happens, they also face lot of time physical harms also, because, guys, often in waste we see that broken pieces of glass, okay, menstrual pads, they are discarded. Now often what it leads to many other physical harms to the rag pickers. For example, they might become prone to sometimes injury by these glass. They become prone to such kind of infectious diseases because of the discarded menstrual pads, discarded bio waste, discarded medical waste, etc. Okay, so often they are at this particular risk. Now, guys, they are doing this particular risky job and are keeping the society clean, but at the same time their status in society is not good. Often they are looked as a downtrodden. Often against them stigma is there. Often there is a sense of discrimination with these people. So therefore now focus needs to be done that how socially their status can be enhanced, how they can be given a protective environment while they are doing this kind of work, while they are doing the work here. Now, basically, guys, as we talk about the article, yes, so as we talk about the article, so basically we need to immediately address systemic exclusion of these people from the society. I told you that they are discriminated, they are seen with ridicule, they are seen with stigma. Their poor working conditions are needed to be improved. Okay, and for that particular thing, we need to come out with good policies. Now, understand this particular thing. Basically there is EPR, extended producer responsibility guidelines, that are already there. Extended producer responsibility guidelines. Now let's understand that what are the just a Okay, so guys, I hope that the stream is clear. Fine. So there are EPR guidelines, extended producer responsibility guidelines. Now, what are these EPR guidelines? Let's understand this particular thing. Now, these particular EPR guidelines have been notified as part of waste management rules, Now, within waste management rules, there are the electronic waste management rules, there are bio waste management rules, there is solid waste management rules. So, as a part of this waste management rules, EPR guidelines have already been issued by the government. What are these EPR guidelines? Let's understand this. So, basically, EPR stands for Extended Producer Responsibility. It puts a responsibility on a producer to take back the product after end of its life, after the end of the life of a product. For example, let's take this particular thing. Fine, I told you waste management rules are for different category. Within that, there is also e-waste management rules. Now, suppose there is a company Samsung, and Samsung has actually made a mobile phone. Let's say the life of this particular mobile phone is 10 years. Okay, now it is Samsung's responsibility to take back this particular mobile phone after 10 years and to process it out and to manage this particular e-waste in a responsible manner. Okay, so it is Samsung's responsibility. So every producer has an extended responsibility to take back their product and to sustainably process it, to sustainably discard it. Okay, now this EPR rules are good. But actually these EPR rules are not taking the waste pickers in the pictures, waste pickers in the picture. Now I told you that 90% of the waste collection and segregation in India, it is done by the informal sector worker. So within EPR rules, there should have been one particular provision that this EPR can be done through these waste pickers. These waste pickers could have been hired by these corporates on a kind of a payroll, or these corporates could have been given good social security. These corporates could have given good social security to these waste pickers that okay, you go and you do the waste collection on our behalf. For example, Samsung is there under the plastic waste management rules. Even the companies which are selling the plastic products, they also have such kind of a responsibility. For example, let's say Coca-Cola is there. Let's say Coca-Cola is there. So Coca-Cola, let's say, sold 5 million bottles this year. They have to collect back those 5 million bottles. What Coca-Cola can do? They can give this particular responsibility to our waste pickers. Can they give them better wages? Can give them social security? Can give them protective gear that okay, you go and you do this particular thing. So basically EPR rules are there, but these EPR rules have not been properly formulated. Actually what is happening, these EPR policies, they are threatening to displace informal waste pickers. Why? Because companies now themselves are going to do this particular activity. So their livelihood, these informal workers livelihood will get threatened. So rather than that, they should have been hired. Also there is, under the solid waste management rules, EPR guidelines, we need to integrate these waste pickers. Okay, so therefore some certain reforms are needed to be taken up immediately. Now what are the corrective steps that are to be taken? Number one, it is essential to integrate waste pickers in the formal system of economy, in the formal workforce, such as I told you, on their payroll they are to be integrated, and social security, insurance, health benefit, etc. is to be provided. Secondly, EPR, extended producer responsibility, should be revised to include and benefit waste pickers. Okay, so they should be given priority. The next is that increase allocations for initiatives. Okay, so basically government give allocations, or you give certain breaks to the corporate so that they include them and give them safety equipment, healthcare, etc. Okay, so this is something that is to be done in this particular direction. I hope that you have understood this particular article. And now moving on to next article. Okay, arguments against legalizing MSP. Arguments against legalizing MSP. Now, MSP stands for the minimum support price. And this particular article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3, issues related to agriculture. Now, first of all, guys, before going in this particular article, let's understand some basic aspects. First of all, you already might be knowing that right now farmers are protesting because they want a legal guarantee for MSP. Right now, MSP is not provided as a legal guarantee, but farmers want that government should provide them a legal guarantee. Now, understand this particular thing, guys. Fine. When we talk about MSP, MSP stands for minimum support price. Now, minimum support price, it is issued on the basis of the recommendation of Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. Okay, CACP. On its recommendation, Cabinet announces MSP. Right now, MSP is announced for 23 crops. MSP is a minimum price at which the farmer can sell their produce to the government. Now, when we talk about MSP, how MSP is calculated by the CACP? So, CACP calculates MSP on these three parameters, that is A2, A2 plus FL and C2. Now, what is A2? A2 covers the actual expenditure that has been incurred by the farmer for growing a crop. For example, money that he spent on seeds, fertilizer, chemicals, labor, etc. Then A2 plus FL, what this A2 plus FL is? Actual cost plus imputed value of unpaid family labor. Now see, there was the cost that was incurred by the farmer, but apart from that cost, farmer might also have done the labor on that. Farmer's family might have done the labor on that. Okay, fine. So the cost of that particular labor will also be incurred. Fine. So by that we get the A2 plus FL. By that we get the A2 plus FL. Then after that, after the A2 plus FL, there is a C2. What is C2? C2 includes A2, it includes FL, means it includes A2 plus FL along with revenue foregone. For example, farmer has 1 hectare of land. Now on this 1 hectare of land, he is doing farming. If he would not have been doing farming here, he would have been using this particular land for some other purpose, For example, maybe he might be deploying some factory over there or some other activity. So because today he is not doing this, revenue has been lost. So that particular factor is also to be considered. So A2 plus FL, C2 includes the cost of expenditure, it includes the wages, etc., labor that has been done, plus the revenues foregone on owned land, the rent that is foregone, fixed capital assets, fine, etc. So this is the way that MSP is calculated, and it is announced by the cabinet on the basis of CCEA, Cabinet Committee on Agriculture Cost and Prices, CACP. Sorry. Now, basically, farmers, they want that government should give a legal guarantee on MSP. Now, here what has happened in this particular article, experts are discussing that whether MSP should be legalized or should not be legalized. So here in this particular article, what I have done, I have provided you both the sides of the viewpoint, arguments against legalizing MSP and arguments in favor of legalizing MSP. So unnecessary items has been pruned down and relevant content has been provided to you. Fine. So let's see this particular dimension. Okay. So first of all, arguments against. First of all, we have the arguments against. Now, guys, the first before going in the arguments against, you need to understand some basic dimension. MSP should be given as a legal guarantee. Means no agriculture produce is to be sold below the MSP. Let's say MSP of 1000 rupees is given for wheat. MSP of 1000 rupees is given for wheat, for example. It means that no wheat should be procured below 1000 rupees. Government, if buying the wheat, they have to give minimum 1000 rupees for buying the wheat. Even if private sector, even if a player from private sector is buying the wheat, they also need to give at least 1000 rupees. So basically, in a nutshell, the idea is that minimum support price should become a legal benchmark. So it will lead to a lot of problems. Number one, there will be a challenge in enforcing it. There will be a challenge in enforcing it. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. Suppose government, they are procuring. Finally, they might procure it on MSP. But if the private player wants to buy the product, fine. How you will ensure that a private player is also buying at MSP? What happens, guys? You know this particular thing. For example, wheat harvest will happen at the same time. There is so much of food products that will enter. There will be the wheat grains that will enter the market. Sometimes farmers are very much desperate to sell their wheat because they have to pay money for a lot of expenditures. Now let's say he want to sell it to a private player. Now private player, knowing that the farmer is vulnerable, might give the price below the MSP. Farmer might also be economically vulnerable and might accept it. So point is that even if you give the legal guarantee for MSP, fine, when government is doing procurement, it will be used. But how outside the mandi? How in the informal transactions that is happening, you will enforce MSP? Fine. So record keeping outside the mandi system, there how you will implement it? Fine. Secondly, do you have adequate infrastructure right now to give MSP? Do you have financial means to give MSP right now? That is a problem. Then after that, government, I told you, right now gives MSP for 23 crops. Now logistically, it is not possible for government to procure all the 23 crops. Now guys, see this particular thing. Today, MSP is not a legal guarantee. Only 6% farmers are selling their crops at MSP. But if MSP becomes a legal guarantee, then it means that anybody who wants to sell at MSP to the government has to buy. Government will be obligated. So where the government is going to keep all that particular food grains? Logistical challenge, financial challenge. How the government is going to pay for so much of the food grains if legally government will be bound to pay the MSP for that. Then it will have impact on food prices. What impact on food prices will be there? Now see, even the private players, if they have to pay the minimum, if they have to pay the MSP, which is a minimum benchmark price, at the end of the day, if the private players are buying at expensive, they will sell expensive to the consumers, and it will lead to increased food prices. It will lead to inflationary pressures, and then whether it is going to help the subsistence farmer, fine, because guys, small farmers which are growing their food grains in half a hectare, 1 hectare, often they are not able to get, see, basically the process is sometimes so tedious that small marginal farmers, they are not selling it to the government, okay, they are selling it to the third party players. Will any impact be on them? Because everything that is being done, it is being done into the name of the welfare of the small farmers, so this might not help the small farmers. Then next comes arguments in favor. The next comes arguments in favor. Now when we talk about the arguments in favor, so basically it is provided that, see, if you give a legal guarantee on MSP, what will it happen? It will support the agriculture sector, will provide stability to the farmers. If farmers are assured of getting one minimum price, it will give them stability and farmers will be happy. Now farmer happens to be a big commodity for India, and as farmers welfare is happening, it is a good thing. Secondly, it will ensure that farmers always receive a fair price for their produce. Often it has been seen that many number of times farmers don't get fair produce, and because of that it leads to agricultural distress. Then it aligns with the government's aim of digitalization and formalization. Now if MSP is the minimum bench price, it means every transaction has to be noted down, that whether it was settled on the MSP or not. So for that, digitalization of the transactions, agricultural transactions will happen. Then it is said that actually what it will do, it will reduce the food inflation. It will reduce the food inflation. Now it has been said that actually MSP, see, we are not saying that MSP will be fixed so high. MSP can be fixed keeping in mind the present economic condition, inflation. New parameters can also be brought to calculate the MSP, and actually it can otherwise it can help in regulating the market prices. For example, government caps that, okay, wheat is to be sold at this particular price. Fine. Then what is happening? A kind of a price stability is being brought. Okay. And then finally, it will lead to transparent cost calculation. Now, the way as the CCAP is calculating MSP, it is transparent. So if they are increasing MSP, they will be able to tell the farmers the reasons for increase, the reasons for decrease, or whatever the case is. Fine. So it is going to be a good reform. However, guys, we cannot take one particular categorical stand that for it is going to be the best system, or we can also not say that it is just a vested agenda. On a calculated basis, we need to understand both pros and cons of this particular move, and we need to take a calculated decision. So that is all about it. And now moving to next article. Now moving to the next article. Caste segregation in prisons. Caste segregation in prisons. Now this article we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 1. GS paper number 1 means social issues. Social issues. Social issues. So basically, guys, what has happened? There have been many reports that has came, and according to these particular reports, it is being said, according to the reports, it is being said that in many of the states, jail manuals, in that there is a justification that is given to the caste based differentiation. Basically what is happening, it has been provided that many number of times people of different caste, they are being put up in the different cells. Okay, for example, people of high caste and low caste, they are being put in different cells. They are being given work on the basis of the caste. For example, people from high caste, they are being given work in cooking, etc. People from low caste, they are being given the work such as cleaning, etc. So it has been found that certain states are discriminating against the prisoners on the basis of their caste as well as the religion. And on the basis of their understanding, they are being given the work on the basis of the caste as well as on the basis of the religion. Now it is being said that actually it is unconstitutional. Why? Because when we talk about fundamental right, Article 14 to 18, it talks about the right to equality. It talks about the right to equality. And under this system of equality, giving work on the basis of caste, making segregation on the basis of caste or religion, it is unconstitutional. It is unconstitutional. So Union Home Ministry has asked the state government as well as union territories to ensure that their jail manuals do not contain any discriminatory provision, that is giving work on the basis of caste or keeping them in the separate cells on the basis of the caste. So when we talk about the Constitution of India, it has already prohibited discrimination on the ground of religion, race, caste, place of birth. And also guys, what happened? Now see, when we talk about prison, prison is a state subject. So therefore every state will have its own state manual. But in 2016, there was the model prison manual that was prepared by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Now this particular model prison manual of 2016, it specifically contains the provisions to prohibit caste and religion based discrimination of provision in management of kitchen, cooking food, etc. Okay. Also, it has been said that discrimination is not desirable, but preferential treatment is also not to be given. Some people from the high caste, if they are being given preferential treatment, that is also unconstitutional. Also, Union Home Ministry has provided that right to health is implicitly provided under Article 21. So there should be the regular arrangements to provide health screening, to provide the health checkup to prisoners. So it has been provided there should be the regular health checkup and screening of prisoners for infectious diseases, sexually transmitted diseases, hepatitis, fine. And special camps should be deployed from time to time. So this is guys all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it. And now moving to next article. Obesity as a new health challenge, Lancet study. Now this particular article we are going to study, we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2 issues related to health. GS paper number 2 issues related to health. So basically, when we talk about the Lancet, Lancet happens to be one of the most reputed health journal. Lancet happens to be one of the most reputed health journal, and it has released its report on obesity. On obesity. Now, first of all, according to the Lancet report, it is provided that obesity rates among the world, they are increasing. So, obesity rates among children as well as adolescent has increased 4 times between 1990 to 2022, and obesity rates among the adults, they have been doubled. So, in adolescent they have been 4 times, and in adult obesity rate has been doubled. Now, according to the report, it is provided the total number of children, adolescent, adult, fine, who are living with obesity, they have surpassed 1 billion. The population of the world is 8 billion, and people with obesity, their population is more than 1 billion, and 159 million children and adolescents, they are at obesity. They are at obesity. Now, guys, understand this particular thing, that when we talk about obesity, according to the Lancet, it says that obesity has become the most common form of malnutrition. Now, guys, obesity is, see, when a person becomes obese, a person becomes obese when a person is consuming more than what is required, or when a person is not consuming a balanced diet. So basically, obesity can be the result of hidden hunger also. So obesity is becoming a next big health challenge. Now, when we talk about obesity in the context of India, and you can use this particular data, now obesity leads to many of the lifestyle diseases such as the cardiovascular diseases. It leads to many problems such as the hypertension. Now, directly does not leads to, but it contributes, it aggravates the problem of hypertension. So, and basically today non-communicable diseases, many of them can be traced to obesity, improper weight management. So basically, according to the Lancet report, it is said that obesity rate increased from 0.1% in 1990 to 3.1% in 2022 for girls and boys. Fine. For children, it increased from 0.1% to 3.1%. And when we talk about the obesity in the girls and boys, India ranks 174th highest in the world in obesity. Also, it has been provided that obesity rate in adult has increased even more Obesity rate in adult have increased even more. Now see this particular thing. It is said that in women, obesity rate increased from 1.2% in 1990 to 9.8% in 2022. And in men, it increased from 0.5% to 5.4%. 10 times increase is there in obesity. Okay, so this is about it. Fine, I hope that you have understood it. And now moving to next article. Now moving to next article. Now moving to next article. Gene therapy for hemophilia. Gene therapy for hemophilia. Now basically guys, what has happened? India has recently conducted the human trial for gene therapy for hemophilia A at the Christian Medical College, Vellore. Now, basically, first of all, we need to understand what is hemophilia. So, hemophilia, it is a genetic disorder. It is a blood disorder which impairs the blood clot formation, Okay, and largely it affects male population. Why it affects? Because there is a problem in chromosomes due to the presence of the X chromosome, which is a X chromosomes find in the male. So what it leads to? It leads to a mutation in the gene due to which there is a problem in the blood clotting. Okay. Now when we talk about hemophilia A, it can only be treated by a gene replacement therapy. Fine, the other medical options are very much limited. Fine. And basically this particular study that has been conducted for the gene therapy, it can be a life savior. However, over a period of time, more understanding, more details about this particular thing will come. Already guys, around the world, many gene cell therapy are being approved. For example, we have seen that recently for sickle cell disease, US FDA has approved two gene therapies. Now, when we talk about gene therapy, what gene therapies do? They employ the mechanism such as replacing the defective genes with the healthy ones. They can deactivate the malfunctioning genes. They can introduce new genes. So either they will replace the malfunctioning genes, or will introduce new genes, or will replace the defective, or will deactivate the genes, and by that they can help in solving the problems which emerge because of the genetics. Okay, and can be fruitful in controlling cancer, genetic disorders, infectious diseases. Okay, this is about it. Moving on to the next. Swayam plus platform. Swayam plus platform. So basically, Swayam guys, it is an initiative. It is an initiative for education. Swayam stands for study. Swayam stands for study webs of active learning for young aspiring minds. Okay. Now what has happened? There is a new platform, that is Swayam Plus, that has been launched by the Union Ministry of Education. Union Ministry of Education and Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Now, when we talk about the Swayam Plus platform, what is the Swayam Plus platform? Now, this Swayam Plus platform, it aims to enhance the employability of the people by providing them skilling programs in manufacturing sector, energy sector, computer sciences, management, healthcare, hospitality. Now, manufacturing, energy, hospitality, healthcare, these are the sectors which have a potential to employ a large number of people, but often people don't have skill sets. So because of the lack of the skill sets, they are not able to pick up the good employment opportunities. So here skilling work will be done. Now this particular platform, what the objective of this particular platform is? It is to build an ecosystem for professional development. Okay, basically high quality certifications will be given. Existing skills that are there, these skills will be recognized. Okay, and entire content will be provided in the multilingualism. Find Hindi, English, regional languages will be provided, and this entire program will be enhanced by the usage of the artificial intelligence. And many of corporates have also come together to enhance the skill, that is L&T, Microsoft, Cisco. Okay, they are coming together. So Swayam Plus, a question can come in the prelims examination, that what this Swayam Plus platform is all about. Swayam Plus platform, Swayam Plus platform, it aims to enhance the skill set of the people for manufacturing, hospitality, etc. sector. Now, moving on. Chromosome disorder discovered from prehistoric skeletal remains. skeletal remains. So basically guys, what has happened, scientists, they have discovered, so researchers, they have found chromosome disorders from prehistoric skeletal remains, Now guys, understand this particular thing, that what has happened, some of the skeletal remains have been researched, and it has been found that they might be suffering with the Down syndrome and Edward syndrome in the prehistoric times, 5500 years back. So basically these particular diseases are not new. They have existed since historic times, 5500 years back. Now, what we need to understand in this particular article, we need to understand about this Edward syndrome and Down syndrome. We need to understand about the Edward syndrome and Down syndrome that has been discovered in the skeletons. Now, first of all guys, you need to understand that when we talk about a healthy human has 23 pairs of chromosomes. Healthy human has 23 pairs of chromosome, means 46 chromosomes in total. Sometimes what can happen, these chromosomes can have aberration, or there can be an extra copy of chromosome, and because of this extra copy of chromosome, there will be certain, because of this extra copy of the chromosome, what will happen, certain conditions will develop in certain individuals. For example, their body will develop differently, their mental development, cognitive development will happen differently. So basically what has happened, fine, Edward syndrome. So Edward syndrome, it is called as a trisomy 18. Now, I told you that there are 23 pairs of chromosome. So in the 18th pair of chromosome, now I told you pair means that there needs to be 2 chromosome. But in the 18th chromosome, rather than 2, there are 3. So from their name comes the trisomy. So there is the problem in chromosome 18, where rather than 2, there is a 3 copies of chromosome, and it leads to a genetic disorder which delays physical growth, short life expectancy. And Down syndrome, it is also genetic conditions in the chromosome, and here extra chromosome is present in the chromosome number 21. So what it can lead to, again it can lead to the developmental changes in the body and brain of a baby. Now here guys, we can see that, for example, in Edward syndrome, what will happen, overlapping fingers, low set ears, decreased muscle tone, small physical size, club feet, you can see the feet like this, okay, heart and lung abnormalities. So basically in prehistoric times also these abnormalities were there. Okay, fine. So that is all guys about it. Fine. Just a minute, guys, just I would like to tell you some few important aspects with respect to the session, and it is this guys, that please ensure that you are downloading the synoptic notes of this particular session. This entire notes that I have discussed, they are provided on Telegram channel. You can just simply download it in the PDF form. Also understand this particular thing, that as we talk about these notes, they are organized in the manner of context, main body part, as well as the way forward, which is the way that you are expected to write answers in the examination. Okay, so please download it. Fine. So guys, that is all about it. Fine. I hope that you have understood it. So now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you.